Welcome to San Francisco and the drama of the September showdown. It's the 34th America's Cup. The challenger, Emirates Team New Zealand, have dominated the racing, notching up 6 of the 9 wins they need to claim the Cup. And race 8 is underway in San Francisco. The defender, Oracle Team USA, has no option but to attack. And yesterday, that's exactly what they did. At mark number 2, it's New Zealand out in front. They had a 3-second lead at mark number 1, and that lead has more than doubled now. At the halfway point, New Zealand had the lead, but Oracle Team USA was gaining. But look at the speed of the Americans, and at this point, the Americans have overtaken the Kiwis. And then, disaster struck for the Kiwis.
Oh my gosh! They almost flipped this thing over. My goodness, that's incredible.
New Zealand's calamity was the opportunity Jimmy Spithill needed.
Attacking, got attack, got attack, got attack!
The win, Oracle's second so far, and Oracle Team USA will win the first race of the day. With only 1 race contested, the day belonged to the defender, a vital win to keep their Cup hopes alive. It's day 6 of the 34th America's Cup. Another beautiful day at the city by the bay. It is Sunday, the 6th day of racing at the 34th America's Cup. We are scheduled for races 9 and 10. That's if Mother Nature cooperates. Alongside Gary Jobson and Ken Reed, I'm Todd Harris. Glad to have you with us in beautiful San Francisco, California. Huge momentum swing yesterday as the defender stepped up and took the race.
Well, Oracle Team USA had to come out of the blocks fast. They had to find another gear-up win, and they did that. Full credit to their design team and their short team for coming up with concepts to give the sailors a better boat around the racetrack.
The Kiwis were rattled momentarily. They took the boat back to the dock. They have gone through it. It is ready to sail, but everyone is still talking about the big moment on leg number 3 where the Kiwis almost threw it away.
Well, they've just proved, Todd, that they can make mistakes. They haven't made many of them, but this was a big one, and it was almost fatal for their boat. If they had flipped over, they likely would have broken their wing. It could have taken them right out of contention.
So it's Emirates Team New Zealand and Oracle Team USA battling in race number 9. That's coming up shortly. Ken Reed, take us through the starting lineup for the challengers, Emirates Team New Zealand.
Well, perfect choreography is crucial on these boats, as we saw yesterday, and if not done properly, it can end in tears. And for Team New Zealand, Adam Beachville and Jeremy Lomas run the daggerboard functions. In the grinder pits, we saw heroic work in near disastrous capsize yesterday, continually grinding to create hydraulic pressure while the boat is literally falling. Trimmers Glenn Ashby and James Dagg are at the mercy of the grinders, but they hold the lines, they keep the boat going fast. And then, of course, Dean Barker and Ray Davies, proving their toughness in the second and eventually abandoned race yesterday when they rebounded after a near catastrophic capsize.
So the Kiwis very confident. They have 6 wins. They only need 3 more to take the America's Cup. But everyone on land, all they wanted to talk about with skipper Dean Barker was how he was able to save that big moment on the bay.
Oh, look, it's at the time, you know, it was obviously a very undesirable thing that happened. You know, it was down to just timing and the way we sort of operated the boat, and you know, we've learned a lot from that. Debriefed it well last night, again this morning, and we know we can do a much better job of it today. So, you know, it's a completely new day. We're ready to go racing, and you know, we hope we get 2 races in.
And Ken, your starting lineup for the defenders, Oracle Team USA.
Well, human power rules the day on these boats, and Shannon Falcone and Joe Spooner are the epitome of the AC-34 grinders, lean, fit, and very strong. In the middle cockpits on Oracle Team USA, it features multifaceted sailors assisting with trim as well as working daggerboard hydraulics, providing human horsepower needed to manage all the functions. Trimmers Kyle Langford and Joey Newton were cool under pressure yesterday when they nearly had Team New Zealand falling on top of them. And in the afterguard, we have to give credit to Tom Slingsby for acting as a go-between with new tactician Ben Ainsley and skipper Jimmy Spithill.
So the Americans have momentum. They need points and they need wins in a big-time way, and the addition of Ben Ainsley as the tactician could pay dividends. But today, 2 races would be the best remedy for them to get both of them in the win column.
Well, obviously, it's up until now it's been a struggle for us with our pace, and so to win races has required something pretty special. But we feel that we closed up the speed differential now between the two teams, so that if we do find ourselves ahead, we feel that hopefully we can defend that lead, and as the goal is to stay ahead to the finish. So we are in a much better position than we were a couple of days ago, and of course we can win races.
Saturday was a monster day in the 34th America's Cup. After firing out the start line in race 8, Emirates Team New Zealand led Oracle Team USA around Mark 1. Then down the first run in a blistering neck-and-neck drag race to the bottom gate. And up the track in classic match racing tacking dual fashion. Oracle, the defenders, had tweaked their boat to go faster upwind, and the heat was on. Then came the most dramatic moment in the Cup so far. Emirates Team New Zealand's wing sail jammed, and the entire rig started toppling over.
Wow, New Zealand almost capsized.
Oh my
gosh.
Everyone watching gasped at the impending disaster. The boat hit 45 degrees, the tipping point in these massive machines, and Dean Barker somehow held it there. The Kiwi crew continued to grind their winches to supply power to the hydraulic systems, the hydro.
Hydro.
The hydraulic ram kicked in, the wing pushed over, and the super cool Kiwis carried on, intact. Oracle Team USA notched up their second victory, a massive boost for the defenders. And fans in the America's Cup Park were buzzing.
My heart was in my mouth. I thought I was going to die. I actually dropped the flag for a couple of seconds there, didn't I?
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
Very impressive. It actually didn't go over.
At the press conference in the media center, this is what the sailors themselves had to say.
Fortunately, the guys just kept grinding, and yeah, went through. I guess not a split second too soon. You know, we were I think about as close as you could ever possibly get before the thing would have ended up on its side.
Yeah, well, initially we were going to go for the hook and go to leeward, and then that didn't look that great as I got closer. So at the last minute we just bailed out really, and yeah, we just sort of almost went into a crash tack, and I was surprised. I thought they were going to go over.
You've got to make sure you're completely error-free around the course, and we made one mistake, and it obviously not only cost us the race, but it also came very, very close to costing us a lot more than that.
We've been saying it in-house that we can win races, and we don't care what the scoreline is. We're going to fight the whole way to the end.
So Emirates Team New Zealand has won 6 races and scored 6 points. Oracle Team USA has won 2 races, but that just erased their 2 penalty points, bringing them to 0. So today is a pivotal day as we look to get in both races 9 and 10, and the Americans looking to play off that momentum from yesterday. Our man out on the water, Gary Jobson, a man who has won the America's Cup as tactician, is positioned in a prime spot. Gary, how does the wind look, and more importantly, do you think we're going to get 2 races in today?
Todd, the wind is up. We're right close to that upper limit with the flood of the ebb right out of the bay, making these waves very choppy. Look, these boats are so close in speed. This is going to be a tactical battle. It's going to be an epic intellectual challenge for Ray Davies and Ben Ainsley.
All right, more from Gary Jobson throughout the racing today as we take a look at the course running right along the San Francisco waterfront. And there's the tide that Gary was talking about, the bigger arrows indicating a faster moving ebb tide or water moving out of the San Francisco Bay. And that will affect things greatly, especially with the wind coming underneath the Golden Gate Bridge at the top of your screen. So we have ourselves a fast track today as we look at the course, Ken Reed. And it's the same course they've been seeing for the last 2 months, but it changes daily with the San Francisco weather conditions.
It is. It's probably a fairer race course with this ebb current flowing out of the bay. It makes the race course a little bit wider, especially on the beat, leg number 3. And this has been the pivotal leg 3 of the entire event so far. It favors Oracle a little bit with that ebb tide because it allows the boats to go side to side, use the entire racetrack.
On the left, the man with the 14, that is Dean Barker. 40 years of age, out of New Zealand. He is the skipper and helmsman on the right-hand side. That is Jimmy Spithill in the middle. He is the helmsman for that boat. He's getting help from Tom Slingsby, who's stepping in front of the camera right there. And Ben Ainsley, a four-time Olympic gold medalist, acting as tactician today.
Really square line at the moment. We've got 1.7 knots of tide here, taking us over.
So here's the situation. The tide is going out. The wind is blowing in. Ken, we are set for some great racing. The air is nice and clear, and the sun is out.
That was great conversation with Ben Ainsley and skipper Jimmy Spithill. Really, Ainsley's job here is to provide information to give Jimmy a better idea of where he wants to position the boat on the starting line. That's exactly what he was just doing. Tide and what is going on the race course, which end of the starting line is a little favored toward that first mark.
No, we're good. We're going to start. Just slow up a little here, boys. Again, just slow up, down.
So from Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the America's Cup, we go over to the challengers, and that is Emirates Team New Zealand. Dean Barker in his normal position, and there's the rest of the crew, and the pie warmers on the top right of your screen. Very little chatter on board Emirates Team New Zealand, so they are getting about work. Port entry today, the boat coming in on the left side of your screen will be the Americans. They get a 10-second start into the start block. Now, really, it's no start advantage, Kenny, on the actual course. It just gets them into position earlier, and they can determine which way they want to go.
Absolutely. Oracle is thought by the skippers, by these programs, to be in a slightly better spot, to have that 10 seconds jump to get into the box. That allows them to set themselves up, position themselves a little bit better for the final run to the start.
So at 2:10, it's Oracle Team USA making their way into the entry box, or the start box, and the Kiwis will follow behind. So here we go with 1:45 before they hit the start line. We've seen this before from Emirates Team New Zealand, Ken. They went deep into the box. Do you think the Americans do the same thing?
Well, this is a little more traditional. The Kiwis jive back and tried to close that gap between the boats as tight as they possibly can, just to put a little bit more pressure on Oracle and when they actually turn.
He's going straight. He's going straight. He continues. He continues.
That's the voice of Ben Ainsley, just giving skipper Jimmy Spithill a bit of a play-by-play.
And with 1:10 to go, we check in with Gary Jobson down on the water.
Todd, there's going to be a big battle to be at the leeward end of the line. That's at the bottom of the screen. With this ebb current, that's where you want to be on this start.
We need a kill for the line.
And you see that Jimmy Spithill has positioned Oracle right down on that yellow line, on that left-hand lay line, but Emirates Team New Zealand still going for a hook. This is a risky play by New Zealand at this stage, so low in the box, right by that yellow line. Have they gone too far, Todd? Oracle they're way down in the box beyond that yellow line. They're really going to be slow getting back up.
Killing 3 on the box.
We are still slightly slower.
Killing 2 on the box. Killing 1.
Oracle is totally in control at this stage, Todd. They've done a really nice job of finding that lay line and dominating this start.
Lovely work.
He's up.
All clear. All clear. Yeah.
So the all clear is given. Race number 9 is off.
They have no want or need to go over the starting line right now. Oracle might actually just stay here and get New Zealand really slow before they take off for Mark 1. Great move by Jimmy Spithill.
masterful job by Jimmy Spithill, Ben Ainsley, and Tom Slingsby as the Americans have the lead as they head to mark number 1.
Ready to get pressure, going straight. Zoom the speed off.
Good pressure might be the understatement of the day as the Americans are clocking in at 41 knots. That's 47 miles an hour. And it's Oracle Team USA with the lead of 4 seconds around the first mark.
Same speed. Yeah, nice of him. Yeah, a little bit softer in general, but not too bad. Happy going straight. Good pressure here. Really good pressure here. Yeah. Probably matching her.
So Oracle Team USA leads it by almost 100 meters. You heard Ben Ainsley saying good pressure, happy to stay here. Meanwhile, trailing in a position they have not been in more than a couple times during this entire regatta. The man with the 14 on his helmet, that is the skipper and helmsman, Dean Barker. Ken Reed, the big question is, what does he do now?
Well, it's funny, we just haven't seen any even starts so far. One skipper has completely dominated the other in every single start so far. Now, here we go. Dean Barker's a little bit behind. What are they going to do? Do they have the pace to get it back? They've always had speed upwind before to rely on. Do they have it today?
Yep, but I'm happy to drive.
Standing by. 3, 2, 1, driving.
So the Kiwis stay in line with the Americans. The lead grows to 112 meters. We check in on the water and Gary Jobson.
The race at this point is very even speed-wise, but it's the setup for the leeward gate. New Zealand being behind has got to do the opposite gate of whatever Oracle's going to do. So his tactics, once again, are at a premium.
Leg 2 of 5 here in race number 9. The Americans have the lead. Let's go back quickly, Ken, and take a look at the start one more time. And you made a very good point. The Americans were in no rush to get across the line.
There's no need to actually go over the starting line here. But, you know, it was really interesting. I was nervous that Oracle was way too low in the starting box to even get up to the line. Obviously, they're way ahead of the game. Plenty of time, plenty of distance to get up there. They just stuffed New Zealand. Wait for the speed differential, wait for New Zealand to slow down more, and then they can speed away. It's just a difference of acceleration at this stage. Really good, classic match race move by Jimmy Spithill.
So Spithill pins Dean Barker up at the top, and there you see the lead approaching 175 meters now. And the big question is, Gary Jobson, how soon is Ben Ainsley looking to that leeward mark or gate number 2 and setting themselves up?
Oh, I think he's been thinking about it the whole leg and looking at what the other boat. It's a little bit of a strategic game right now. And from my eye, looking at it, I think Oracle Team USA is sailing a little bit faster and gaining.
Here comes Webb. One and then left. One and then left, boys.
Now comes the time where Team New Zealand has to be thinking about that split. It's been so effective at this bottom gate to go around the other side of the gate for the boat behind. They got to be thinking ahead and trying to create that split, which will probably cost them one more jibe in the big picture.
And with this ebb, Kenny, you want to be in the middle of the bay because the current is stronger. The water's deeper, stronger current. That's where you want to be.
40 seconds now. 20 seconds.
That's 20 seconds to a ley line, Todd. Pretty calm boat right now where you're on Oracle. Ben Ainsley is clearly in charge, and he's just working on ley lines into that bottom mark.
Yeah, the problem here, if New Zealand wants to split, they'll have to do 2 jibes to get to the left gate.
These foiling jibes, though, Gary, they cost so little in VMG or the actual distance toward the mark. They can get away with 2 jibes, but this last maneuver is a tough one. This is a hard one to pull off and pull off effectively if you're Team New Zealand.
At Gate number 2, Oracle Team USA, the defenders of the America's Cup, make the move, and their lead has grown. Remember, it was just 4 seconds at the first mark, and will the Kiwis split? Yes, they will.
But man, Oracle had pace on that run, Gary. That's as big an opening as we've seen on a first run of any leg so far.
They've gained about 8 boat lengths, Kenny. Big improvement in downwind speed. Now let's see what about upwind.
So from 4 seconds to 18 seconds is now the lead for Oracle Team USA over Emirates Team New Zealand. The Kiwis, this has been their strength, leg 3 of 5, and this has been really the problem until the last race for Oracle Team USA. Interesting dynamic for the Americans, Ken. They technically have 3 helmsmen on board. Jimmy Spithill, Tom Slingsby, and of course Ben Ainsley.
But like we said in the pre-show, Slingsby is really, I think he's the key to communication here. Ainsley's he's not a born tactician, but Slingsby is keeping that communication loop open all the time as a go-between between these 2 guys, between these 2 really good sailboat racers.
Getting by in 3, 2, 1. Haircut. Pressure out of them.
Once again, perfect synchronization from Emirates Team New Zealand. Dean Barker rarely gets rattled. His man, Ray Davies, the tactician, quietly working with him as Barker continues to survey over the water here on the upwind leg. The Kiwis have 6 wins. They need 3 more, and the cup is going back to New Zealand.
3, 2, 1, here we go.
Todd, these guys tacking maneuver, I can't underestimate, I can't understate how much it's improved in the last 5 days. They've gone to school on Team New Zealand and how they're tacking the boat, how they're controlling the dagger boards, the hydraulics, the wing, everything in unison, and they're figuring it out. And they're sailing the boat. They're actually foiling upwind now, right there, but they're using a skimming technique now that Team New Zealand has been using for a while. They're not digging that bow in the water and displacing, trying to create a longer hull. They're actually skimming, or here, they're actually foiling. It's very similar, again, to how Team New Zealand was really beating them up around the race course in the past.
I'll tell you, when he's still going, he's going to go to bound hand there. Very steady pressure. Might have a little bit of blood on my
That
eyes.
leeward hull is out of the water a good chunk of the time now. They've just completely changed the philosophy as to how they're sailing the boat upwind.
Look how choppy it is on the right-hand side of the course where the Americans are.
And that just means better current out there, Gary. That kind of middle right-hand side is where it's called the dumping ground area, and that's always known as the most amount of current as there is on San Francisco Bay.
You can look at the body posture of Dean Barker and tell that he's losing a lot right now. The right side of the course, where Oracle Team USA is better. More current, and the wind, Ken, has really shifted to the right here, a little bit different than we've seen over the past week. The USA continues to gain.
The Americans now lead by more than 300 meters. In the past, leg number 3 has been their downfall as the Kiwis have been known to pounce on them. And as Ken pointed out, somehow, some way, over the course of the last 3 days, Oracle Team USA has learned to tack much better, and it certainly is showing here in race number 9.
Lovely tack, lovely tack. 14 knots on us, man. Good work.
I did my last week. It's better, Tommy, when I'm at those high speeds, you know.
Say again?
I just took a little
sail the
break
boat,
off.
Jimmy. Sail the boat, mate. They tack back. Going straight.
You heard Ben Ainsley say there, lovely tack, lovely tack. Actually, it sounded like Jimmy was starting to explain what he did different in the tack, and Ben just said, hey, sail the boat. Pretty good.
Meanwhile, work continues for Emirates Team New Zealand, sitting on 6 victories, needing only 3 more to take the cup away from the Americans. Lucky Charm back on there. Grant Dalton, 56 years of age. The 2 races the Kiwis have lost, Gary. He has not been on the boat. Is there any chance he does not stay on the boat?
Taking a look up the course here, Emirates Team New Zealand just no match for Oracle Team USA as we continue on leg 3, heading for the windward mark.
Get tough on here. No pressure. Very nice. He tacks back. Same here at the moment.
Constant communication on Oracle Team USA, and this is something, Ken, that we were not hearing 2 or 3 races ago.
Great communication, obvious great speed. They've actually opened up on a beat here. Full credit to their design, engineer, and shore teams for changing gears, and then the sailors, of course, for changing modes on how they're sailing this boat upwind. A completely different boat than what we've seen in the past on this leg 3.
You know, Ken, when you think about the guys, Tom Slingsby and Ben Ainsley, they won their Olympic gold medals sailing single-handed. They're not used to talking to anybody, and they seem to be enjoying it working together.
This is leg 3 of 5, race number 9, day number 6 of the 34th America's Cup. The Americans have seized the momentum. Yesterday, there was just 1 race contested because of high winds. Race number 2 was taken off the board, and it is now the Americans who seem to have figured out the bay.
Massive right-hand gate bias. They say we do 2 more.
Hey, tack back. Good game.
These guys on Oracle have to be really excited at this stage. They were down and out in this event. You know, Dean Barker, though, has been calling this. He said they knew they were going to come up with little triggers, little bits that was going to help them go faster. And sure enough, the Americans and the Oracle compound has figured out how to do it.
No problem. Going to ley line, right-hand gate here.
Ainsley saying going to ley line, right-hand gate. Now, late in the leg, it's time to minimize maneuvers and just simplify. No more need to cover, just simplify.
As the wind continues to blow and the Americans are out in front by more than 300 meters, we have to start thinking about the second race of the day, which would be race number 10 of this regatta. And Gary, from your position out on the water and your knowledge of this area, do you think we see a second race today, or does Mother Nature blow it out?
Well, Todd, right now we're only 2/10 of a knot under the wind limit. If they get around the next mark, the wind limit goes away. It's a 5-minute average. As for the afternoon race, it's going to be very hard to get it in if this wind continues to build.
Those tacks by they're what effectively looks like a roll tack. It's not a roll tack, but those of us who sail dinghies, it looks like a roll tack. 1 hull in, the other hull out. Immediately, it reduces the wetted surface by literally 50% and allows the boat to accelerate much quicker. Incredible change of events for Oracle Team USA.
A bit of a light spot and then sting back on in 15. Pressure on here. Try and get it going. Pressure back on you now.
And one thing we're hearing much more of, especially today, is more talking coming from Ben Ainsley. He is playing the role of tactician for Oracle Team USA.
You've got to believe he's getting more comfortable every day. This is a new spot. That first day must have been pretty intimidating for him, but he's clearly getting better at it. I'm sure they're watching a ton of tape at night to help him just speed up the whole process.
Should be fine on him, actually. 45 seconds to a shot. 45.
So this race will stick as the Americans make the turn on gate number 3. The wind limit goes away, and the Kiwis now in a very odd position for them as they watch the Americans out in front. And Dean Barker looking to work some magic here on leg number 4. Can Emirates Team New Zealand make a big charge and get some heavy pressure over the Americans, sail away with the victory? The lead has gone up to 33 seconds for the Americans over Emirates Team New Zealand here in race number 9.
Gary, I'm curious, out on the committee boat, how close did they actually get to the wind limit in this race?
Well, they were 2/10 underneath, as Oracle Team USA is only 3 boat lengths from us, sailing downwind at 40 knots. What an impressive sight.
Dean Barker scanning the horizon, trying to figure out where the most pressure is and the most favorable current here, leg 4 of 5. Meanwhile, it's Oracle Team USA clearly in control of this race.
Okay, coming into more pressure all the time. Nice work, lads.
Team USA with a more than 600-meter lead on Emirates Team New Zealand.
He's died, no problem at all. Good lead here. Just us in the finish. Just gonna get a little choppy there.
And Ken, if Oracle Team USA can hold on and get this win, their 3rd victory, but their 1st point, what does this mean to the camp?
You can't overestimate the amount of enthusiasm that this program, and you never know, they could be onto something and just sitting back there right now in the laboratory creating the next big jump. You don't know. The vertical learning curves on these boats are still staggering. How much faster they go every day. These guys are onto something clearly.
You take a shot of the body language on Team USA now as opposed to 4 or 5 races ago. It is a completely different story.
Different boat. It's just a different boat, a different team. Just tremendous how they've massaged a bad situation and created a good one.
You know, it makes me wonder whether the New Zealanders will say, you know what, we're off the pace, we got to reconfigure. Maybe it's time for them to take their card and not race the next race.
And what Gary Jobs is alluding to is each team has a provisional card where they can waive off a race for any reason. Oracle Team USA did it earlier this week when they were just getting it handed to them. Jimmy Spithill pulled the card and said, we need to shut it down. We are out of sorts. They clearly have some kind of advantage. So they waived off the 2nd race of that day. And that's a good question by Gary. If the Kiwis feel that there's just something missing and they can't match them, do they just say, you know what, we're done for the day, wave off the 2nd race?
Well, I'm not totally convinced at this stage they're not matching them. I just think the Americans have sailed a really good race. They rounded the right gate, the correct side of the gate. They tacked on top of, they gave disturbed air to Emirates Team New Zealand at the right time. They found the best current on that beat. I think they sailed a really good leg. So if you're Team New Zealand, yes, your advantage may be gone, but I'm not sure you're down and out yet.
Well, we saw Dean Barker win 3 starts in a row over the last couple days before the Jimmy Spithill turned the tide. That was a slam dunk on the starting line, and that started it.
So the lead has now ballooned up to 700 meters. The Kiwis actually sailing a little faster at 36 knots or 41 miles an hour. Dean Barker still looking for a window of opportunity. He had his moment yesterday, maybe thinking the Americans might miscalculate this win and put themselves in a bad spot. Kenny, I think the excitement around the USA camp is this is what they thought they would see from day 1 of the America's Cup.
I can tell you, walking around America's Cup Park yesterday afternoon, a lot more people were showing off their Oracle t-shirts than a couple days prior. I can tell you for sure.
Straight into the finish. I'm going to top hand lift.
Well, if we go forward on the book, and it will look as though the Kiwis are still firmly in control of this one. If the Americans do hold on to win this race number 9, it will be 6-1 on the score. Now, for those watching at home will say 6-1, it's still a Kiwi whitewash. The Americans will have won 3 races, but 2 of those points were taken away by the international jury for a pre-race infraction. So the Americans not necessarily in this totally because they're still down by 5 as they make the rounding at mark number 4. But Kenny, it's more the momentum and where they were 3 days ago to where they are now.
Absolutely right. Momentum, and all good sailors want is a chance. Give me a boat that just gives me a chance, and I think I'm a better sailor to make up for any tiny deficiencies. These guys are good sailors, and all of a sudden they think they have a chance clearly.
Don't load the boat up unnecessarily here.
As they ride the Bucky Bronco into the finish.
And you heard him call it out, don't load the boat up unnecessarily, because Ken, you know, you've been in these waters, you've been on this boat. That thing catches a bad puff of wind at the wrong angle, it's game over.
Yeah, there's no reason to take a risk. There's no reason to have to just put the hammer down right now. You got a nice lead. Let's make sure you don't break anything, don't do anything crazy, and live to see another day.
It's going to get lighter after this puff. Okay, pressure going down now.
As they approach the finish line, the fans at America's Cup Park begin to cheer. Race number 9, day number 6 of the 34th America's Cup belongs to the Americans. Conditions are such that they do not even have time to wave to the fans who have been here for hours. There's business at hand and a small celebration now taking place.
That's the world's fastest flyby right there. You better look quick. You better have your shutter speed pretty fast on your camera.
Dean Barker and Emirates Team New Zealand now come in. They'll be well past 40 seconds behind the Americans as they hit the line. Not the best start for Dean Barker. He got a little aggressive down there. As we go back and analyze this one more time, Kenny, do you think that was the turning point of the race, was the start?
Well, of course, absolutely. And Todd, this is actually, these are the events that we thought were going to determine this regatta. The start we thought was going to be crucial against 2 fairly even teams. It hadn't turned out to be that way so far, with so many passes, more passes than any other time in the history of the America's Cup.
And how about this speed on the course? The Americans completed that 5 legs in just over 21 minutes and 50 seconds.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, Jimmy talked about yesterday in the press conference, we can win races. We just have to go out there and start doing it. And now here they are officially on the board. 6-1 in favor of the Kiwis. The Kiwis need 3 more wins and the America's Cup is theirs. The Americans, though, are now down to needing just 10 wins and the Cup is theirs.
We're going poundage. What are we doing now, mate?
Yeah, Jimmy, register looks great. -2 on star, but 0 on forward. I wouldn't touch it at this stage ever.
So what they're talking about, rake and cant probably to the rudders right now. It's actually a manual setup where they can tilt the rudders fore and aft. They would have all kinds of off-the-boat telemetry telling them what the pitch or the pitch and roll moment is of the boat, just like an aircraft, and they don't want to make any changes. That's a good sign for Oracle.
Got a glimpse of Big Rome Kirby there. He's already taken his helmet off, feeling pretty good about things as they make their way back up to the top of the course. We go back and take a look at it one more time. Race 9, day 6, and it all began with the start, and you put it out. The Americans went awfully deep into the box.
They went really far to the left of the box. It can be a risky play, but Emirates Team New Zealand went after him. They kind of bit. They went after him and tried to hook. If the hook isn't going to work this low in the box, you're in trouble. And Dean Barker found out the hard way. All of a sudden, you're stuck to windward. Hey, Oracle is in complete control at this stage. They just slow him down and then accelerate away, get the maximum distance between the 2 boats. Just perfectly done by Jimmy Spithill.
And at the line, the Americans first off to accelerate, and New Zealand was looking for some speed, but the Americans, their acceleration, just watch as they hit mark number 1.
That's pace. That's the G-force is going around these marks. It looks so simple. But you can't fathom the shaking and shuddering and groaning going on in the boats. It's pretty phenomenal. First jibe, as usual, both jibing right now. Remember, Todd, back in the day when foiling jibes was hard? Well, these guys have now made it look easy. There's really nothing to gain or lose in any of these foiling jibes.
Mark number 2, the Americans and the Kiwis split the course, and look how smooth that is. They go around there. Neither hole dips down in the water. The Kiwis looking very sharp as well. But at this point, Ken, the Americans are in more favorable current.
You're the Kiwis, and you're just hoping that the Americans make a mistake at this stage, and they don't. Their tacking has been the biggest improvement that we've seen in this entire event. They're keeping one hull or the other out of the water all the time, helping acceleration, reducing drag, and they're heading the right way. Ben Ainsley's doing a great job. They're even foiling at times upwind.
Mark number 3, and again, the Americans making the lead stick. And this has just got to be salt in the wound for the Kiwis as the Americans come around so smooth, so fast, and the lead would balloon to over 700 meters. And here it was at the line, race number 9 going the way of the defenders, Oracle Team USA. An enthusiastic Larry Ellison giving the thumbs up to his crew as they get the victory in race number 9. We go on board Oracle Team USA and their helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. Congratulations. Your body language looks a little different today. You guys may have just sailed the best race you've had this entire regatta.
Yeah, what a fantastic effort by the boys. Really dug it in. A very, very physical race. Benny and Tom did a great job on the back, but I tell you what, the boys in the engine room up the front just able to extend on every single maneuver. So very, very exciting.
Hey, Jimmy, taking us back to the start. You got yourself really low in the box, down near that ley line. Did you change your instruments at all? You were very confident about where you were in the box in what could have been a precarious spot.
Yeah, we had a hard time yesterday with the software and what my eye was seeing, and then last night, Philippe and the guys, we put a lot of effort in last night trying to tune it up, and we found something that was going on, and I thought we had a great game plan today for the start. And yeah, I mean, full credit to Philippe and the boys for getting me back on track.
Well, Jimmy, you keep telling us that you can win races and you're making believers out of all of us. Do you change anything here going into this next race?
Not a lot. I mean, I think the boat's going great. We're talking about jibs. We're right on the limit here, but the boat's going great. The boys are winding well. And also I want to make a special mention to our shore crew. We had a failure just before the race. One of our shore guys jumped on board, repaired the boat, and were able to race that race. So full team effort, that one.
Jimmy, what was your failure?
We had a failure with the rudder. I think we hit something while we were practicing, and Dan Smith, one of our shore guys, got on and got us through the race. So, the win's for him, really.
Jimmy, thanks for your time. We hope Mother Nature cooperates and you boys can race again in the second race of the day.
Thanks, guys.
Jimmy Spithill, the helmsman for Oracle Team USA, doing a fantastic job, and the enthusiasm clearly visible there as they get ready for the second race here on day number 6. Tens of thousands of fans continue to make their way down to see the best sailors in the world here in the September showdown, and one of them certainly Dean Barker, the skipper and helmsman for Emirates Team New Zealand. Dean, obviously not the way you wanted that race to go. The wind was up, but you just couldn't seem to find a way to track down the Americans. What was going on?
They're going well. They've definitely stepped up. As I guess we all expected they would. It's hard racing. It breezes on. We obviously didn't get off the start line as well as we would have liked, but it's difficult in those conditions with this much ebb and stuff to make much of the starboard entry. So we'll look to do a much better job in this second race this afternoon.
Hey, Dean, you guys really worked hard for that left-hand side. Did you want the pin or the left-hand end desperately? It just seemed like you guys pushed really far down in the box to go for a hook or go for the pin.
The problem with the ebb is if you get sort of stuck above the guy killing time, it's very easy to get locked out at the weather end. You've got to really drag the action off the ley line, and yeah, it's just in the end, it's very hard to make it happen, you know, with the time that you got.
Dean, I'm just wondering, looking at the boat, do you feel you're a little slower here in these heavy wind conditions? About even, or if you get a good start, you'll be able to hold them off?
Well, you know, we had similar conditions yesterday. We felt like, you know, we were going just fine. You know, I think they got their bow clear today, and I think they probably made a pretty nice little gain out of the bottom gate. And so, yeah, it was always going to be hard for us to sort of peg our way back into it. But, you know, they're going just fine. You know, they've found another gear in these conditions.
Dean, the score is now 6-1. You still just need 3 more wins to take the cup back to New Zealand. What'll be your message to the boys when you get ready for race number 2?
Oh, look, you know, we know this is going to be a battle, and we've been saying that right from the start. It's not over until it's over, and these guys, you know, they're not going to let it go easily. So, you know, we know that we've got to keep pushing hard and just do what we do well.
Dean, as always, we appreciate your time. Best of luck to you in the next race.
Thank you.
Dean Barker, the skipper and helmsman for Emirates Team New Zealand, as they get ready for hopefully the second race of the day. As he mentioned, the wind's starting to pick up just a little bit. We'll take a moment and take a look at the stats from race number 9 that went the way of Oracle Team USA. And Ken, you know, I don't think I've seen them race a better one here in this regatta.
Look at the speed downwind. You know, a lot of times when you change a boat to actually get it to go better upwind, you actually have to take something away downwind. It looks to me like they've actually improved both. Oracle has found, like Dean Barker just said, another gear. They sailed a shorter distance, they went faster. That is always the way you're going to win a race, especially downwind.
Virtual Eye shows us just exactly how it all shook down. The Americans got the whole shot. We're leading at mark number 1. And here it was. Kiwis seemed like they were just happy to follow him at this point.
They just stretched. I mean, Oracle just slowly ticked away. Nothing special, nothing fancy, very similar jibes, but you just see they're just slowly ticking away. Just really impressive. New Zealand does what they need to do. They do 2 quick jibes at the end in order to gain their split. But USA's, their leeward mark roundings, this gate rounding has been really well choreographed for these guys, and they're actually gaining in this bottom mark most of the time.
And now as we take a look at the upwind leg and the stats here, the speed's really comparable, especially on maximum speed.
Identical, but they played good wind shifts. They sailed shorter distance. They also stayed in better current. That's all this means. They've evened out their boat speeds, but I don't think it was necessarily the speed upwind of Oracle that won the race. They put the boat in the right spot at the same time. That is a really good combination.
Virtual Eye gives us an idea of just where the Americans wanted to sail, and we talked about the cone really not being a factor, but the current was so strong out there on the right side of the course, and that's where Jimmy Spithill kept it.
Middle right, so the current is up to 2.5 knots out on the middle right of the race course, right exactly where Oracle positioned their boat. They kept forcing New Zealand to slightly less current on the left side, tacked on them, kept forcing them back left, and it was really well planned by Ben Ainsley. I'm sure they had a pre-game plan well before the race even started. They stuck to it, and not many mistakes. When you don't make mistakes, the boat behind is likely never going to pass.
So here it is. We wanted to take a look at the performance. You look at on the left, that's race number 5, and on the right was race number 8. That was yesterday. So Ken, walk us through it, and where's the changes being made?
This is showing the boat actually in the middle of attack, I believe. And on the boat on the left, you're going to see both hulls in the water in the middle of the attack for a considerable amount of time. On the right-hand side, you see one hull pop in and the other hull completely pop out. Completely different way. There's the Oracle. They're putting both hulls in the water on the left-hand side right now for several seconds. The difference in acceleration when you put both hulls in the water compared to pop the other one out like is happening on the right-hand side is dramatic. You even see the camera getting soaking wet on the left-hand side. It's just dragging the boat in the middle of attack. In earlier stages of this regatta on the left and on the right, they're popping that other hull right out. They're not losing anything in tacks.
Much cleaner on the right. That is race number 8. The Americans would go on to win 8. They just won race number 9. They are getting ready for race number 10, and the score 6-1 New Zealand, but the Americans have a huge amount of momentum, winning the last 2 races of this regatta.
Velocity made good, right. Had to put that into layman's terms.
These AC72 catamarans, they're powered by the wind, and the course is set so that the top mark and the bottom mark is directly in line with the wind. So obviously on a sailing boat you can't sail directly into the wind or directly away from the wind on these particular boats, so we need to sail angles. And basically a good VMG will get you from the bottom to the top in the shortest possible time, covering the shortest possible distance at the fastest possible speed.
You can go as fast as you like, but if you're not pointing at the desired direction, which is at the next mark of the course, it's not really doing you much good. So it's really the best speed you can make to the course. And sometimes that might be to sail really fast and lots of zigzagging, or it might be to sail slower but a more direct course.
VMG stands for Velocity Made Good. It's a simple calculation based on your speed through the water and your angle to the wind. Take a deep breath as former nuclear physicist and longtime Cup boffin Tom Schnackenberg explains the math.
One of the puzzles in getting the best performance out of the yacht is what angle to sail. I've got a component that's going straight downwind, and I've got a component that's going straight across the wind. And the combination is my real velocity across the water. I don't really care about going across the wind very much, but I really want to know how fast I'm going down the wind. The easiest way to calculate it is to take your boat speed and multiply by the cosine of the angle to the wind direction. That's how it's calculated, and and anybody can do it on their hand calculator.
And exhale. If you didn't get that, don't worry. Here's what it means on the racetrack.
VMG upwind, for example, you can have either a low and fast VMG or velocity made good, where the boat will be travelling faster through the water but not as close to the mark as you would like to go. Or you can have a high VMG, which is you're pointing the boat very, very high to the top mark, but you're going very, very slowly.
Here's slightly faster, slightly lower, VMG slightly to him. He is vulnerable if we tack. He has to time it perfectly.
The juggle of getting the perfect VMG is having the trimming, the steering, the balance and all the factors on the boat lined up perfectly so it achieves the shortest possible time to that top mark.
And that's, you know, the trick of the sailors. They have to work out on the course, you know, this trade-off between boat speed and angle to the mark.
People get VMG and then don't even explain why you want to sail it. Just say it's just something we want to know. Because it's how much bang we're getting for our buck.
Good VMG is effectively the holy grail of sailing, and certainly on these AC72 catamarans is definitely the number that we're all looking at.
Welcome back to America's Cup Park here in sunny San Francisco. Hello again, I'm Tucker Thompson, joined by America's Cup stars Nathan Outteridge, the helmsman of Artemis Racing, and Chris Draper, the helmsman of Luna Rossa Challenge. And the momentum is definitely shifting in this regatta after Oracle Team USA's impressive comeback yesterday and Emirates Team New Zealand's near capsize. This has certainly gotten exciting. Oracle Team USA has flipped the momentum around in this regatta. Emirates Team New Zealand almost flipped their entire boat yesterday, but today Oracle Team USA did what they had to do. Their first wire-to-wire win all the way around the race course. Very impressive. Nathan, are we seeing a completely different, a completely new Oracle Team USA?
Seems like, yeah, there's been a big shift in the racing here, and really impressive to see that they've been able to regroup after basically being getting hammered at the start of this event to now turning around, and today was a big thing for them, and you know, they've still got a long way to go, but really good signs for Oracle at the moment.
And Chris, what has made the difference? Why is it that Oracle Team USA has really turned on the jets upwind particularly?
I think they've made a bunch of small changes that have all added up to a lot of things, and certainly seeing a lot more confidence in the way that they're sailing. I mean, Ben was so much more vocal in the boat today. He's really taking over the communication, and him and Slingsby were working in a very different way. And I think having a little bit more confidence in their pace from yesterday, and then massive improvement in their tacking as well, it's just given them so much more strength, and they'll take so much from sailing away in that race today.
So Nathan, as Chris said, Ben Ainsley doing a great job in the tactics, upwind their speed, their tacking. Jimmy Spithill, let's not forget at the start. Did we just see almost a perfect race?
Yeah, it was pretty close to it. You know, they nailed the start, you know, led around Mark 1, got a split at the bottom mark to their advantage. didn't do anything, you know, too technical up the beat, just stayed between Emirates and the mark, kept the boat going quick, and you know, I couldn't really see any faults in their racing today, and they're looking pretty good in the breeze, that's for sure.
Okay, boys, put your America's Cup coach hats on. Let's get right into the race. We start with virtual eye in the pre-start with Jimmy Spithill against Dean Barker. Chris, talk us through what's going on here if you're New Zealand and if you're Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, we had a very strong ebb today, so what it looked like, Dean had pushed Jimmy down a long way towards the pin ley line. The ebb was so strong that Jimmy had a lot of ground that he still could have protected, and he did a lovely job here, and to manage to close the gauge here and hold Team New Zealand up for as long as he did was just perfect. I thought for a minute maybe he was going to try and take him to windward of the starboard end, but he just, slightly unlike Jimmy, usually he'd just absolutely kill the guy. But he pulled away at the right time and set off down the leg at a great time that gave them a really nice setup for Mark 1 and a nice wide angle, which meant they could turn really tight at the mark and be in really good shape VMG-wise from the start of the leg.
Well, next we're going to take a look at the video from that. And Nathan, it looked like Jimmy could have just stuffed him even more aggressively here. Talk us through the maneuver and how he did it.
Yeah, he did a great job here just keeping his bow forward of Emirates and just waiting for the right moment to bear away. As Chris said, I thought as well he was going to take him all the way to the windward and the line and force Dean to tack around. But you can see here, he just sees that Dean's a little slow. He takes the first advantage to bear away. And it doesn't matter how late you are for the start, so long as you can get a nice little gain off the start line. And you can see here, they just pull away nice and smoothly, straight up onto the foils and, you know, instantly doing 40 knots across that first reach.
Here it is again. The patience and the confidence from Jimmy Spithill was impressive. As you said, Nathan, the gun had already gone. That didn't matter. He slowed the Kiwis down and sped up at just the right time. The delta there about 3 boat lengths as they led into mark number 1. It was one that the Kiwis would never recover from. But it got better from there for Oracle Team USA. Now let's go into the leeward gates and take a look at the tracks upwind. As they turned around the bottom marks, they initiated a split.
Yeah, I think Ben called very early, we're just gonna go 1 and in to the mark, and I think he'd realised that they'd got a little lead and that they didn't need to make a complicated manoeuvre and left Team New Zealand to make the tricky manoeuvre at the end. See here, the Kiwis rounded and they'd actually made quite a significant loss here. And the tide at this point on the course was very, very even. So it really didn't matter where they were headed, but what it meant was that as soon as Oracle bounced Team New Zealand back to the left, that they were going to be headed straight for deep water and maximum current a few seconds later.
Well, then they started ripping upwind. You guys are very familiar with the learning curve and what it takes to get up to speed in these boats. Both teams have been continuing to impress us with their performance. Now we look at foiling upwind. It's something that everybody talked about before this America's Cup, and we are definitely seeing it. Here we go, on board with Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about this foiling upwind, and you can see here Oracle doing it at this moment. And the trick is not to get too high out of the water, but they would have been sitting on, 31, 32 knots of boat speed. I think, the big advantage Oracle has is when it gets windy, they've got less windage. You can see the undercarriage structure here on Emirates Team New Zealand. There's a lot more rigging that sits under the boat, and they are falling upwind as well, and both boats are very evenly matched. But I think just because it's a tiny bit windy, Emirates just have a little bit less, windage than what Oracle have there.
Yeah, I think the tidal, having the ebb as well, means it opens up the option to start ripping and sailing slightly wider angles. And I think when you've got the flood, if you start sailing those slightly wider angles that lets you foil upwind, you suddenly end up doing a couple more tacks up the leg, irrespective of the shifts. So having the tidal ebb is helping open up that option again today.
Well, next we're going to take a look at VMG. It's something we've heard a lot about in the commentary as these sailors analyze the race, and it's an important part of sailing. Velocity made good. It's a balance between speed on the race course and angle to the next mark, and when the sailors can get it right, it means big money and big gains on the race course. Talk us through what we're seeing here.
Yeah, you've got their straight line speed there. You can see Oracle doing 28 knots, but you can see they're 43 degrees from the wind. So what's really impressive is they're actually going quicker, but they're also pointing a lot higher than Emirates Team New Zealand there. And I think that's the key. When it gets windier, they have less, aero drag, and they're able to point a little bit higher than Emirates. And, you're just trying to balance those two numbers the whole time.
You know, one
quite
thing that I was
impressive.
amazed with, I saw 31 knots plus of boat speed for Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, I'm absolutely aghast at the improvements that Oracle have made. I mean, they really are going a lot quicker upwind than they were, and like Ken has said many times in the booth during the race, like you have to give them, their design team and the sailors and all the shore crew, some massive credit for making things happen. I mean, we all suspected that so skillful team, so many resources. We all suspected that they could really make something happen, and they're really showing that they could.
Yeah, give them a lot of credit. They said going into this, Jimmy Spithill in the press conferences, that, hey, don't write us out. There are plenty more racing to come. We're taking it one race at a time. We can win races. Was yesterday a fluke? Well, definitely not after we saw that wire-to-wire win today. Guess who else was very happy with that? Oracle team boss, Larry Ellison, the man in charge of the campaign, the man who many of us have to thank for this America's Cup here in San Francisco, was immensely proud of his team. There he is on board one of the chase boats, clapping and giving the boys a cheer. So quite a big victory. And you know, one thing we didn't see today, fortunately, was the capsize that we saw, the mistake from Emirates Team New Zealand. We could revisit that for a couple moments because it is possibly the most exciting moment of the entire America's Cup so far. Here's a split screen, 4 different shots of, whoa, here we go, folks. Hold on to your hats.
Hydro.
Unbelievable.
Keep going, hydro.
Man, I think everyone in New Zealand held their breath for that moment, including Dean Barker. But what was really impressive is the guys never stopped grinding, getting hydro pressure on the boat. They never stopped doing their job.
Hydro.
Yeah, for those guys to not lose their cool, and I mean, most people would have been grabbing for something to hold on to, and for them to keep grinding and get that boat back down on the water was just an insane effort.
Here's a slow motion shot, perhaps one of the most dramatic from the helicopter. The moment of truth. They hit 44.8 degrees of heel. Unbelievable. And there they just save it. You can see Oracle Team USA. They were talking about a dip at one point. That would have been a big collision if they'd hit them while they were flipping.
Yeah, exactly. You heard Jimmy say, we're going to go behind him here, and Ben were talking about it. And then as soon as they get to this moment here, they realize there's no chance to go behind. You hear them rush into a roll tack. And these are the reaction skills the sailors have out there. Like, you need to be anticipating what the other boat might do. And I'm pretty sure Jimmy and the boys didn't anticipate for that to happen. But great job by Oracle to avoid the situation, and a really good job by all the boys on Emirates to bring the hull back down nice and safely and get back into the race. I was impressed that not only did they save it, but they were sailing straight away and bore away, 25 seconds later, and were not far behind at all.
Here's the look on board Oracle Team USA. Also impressive for these guys. They avoided a collision. Almost attack.
Coming back.
Yeah, you can see
coming back.
Yeah, you can see the look on Jimmy's face there. I mean, he thought for 1 minute that they'd just handed him the cup. And that was a massive moment. I don't think it was possible to emphasize how huge that situation was.
Well, thankfully, they saved it, and thankfully, it didn't happen again today. So now the score is Emirates Team New Zealand with 6 wins, Oracle Team USA with 3, but Oracle Team USA notches their first official point on the scoreboard. This is proper sport. This is really exciting. This is what we expected the America's Cup to be all about.
When you go from a hobby to a serious sport to international, where you're actually out there representing New Zealand, it's a very addictive step. Suddenly you're out there competing at the very top level, and once you're bitten by the bug, it's very hard to go back. Match racing for me is just something that I really enjoy. It just seems well suited to my style of sailing, working with a team in close quarters, in short, sharp bursts. It's just something that really appeals to me, and I really enjoy that style of sailing. To win the cup here, for me, would be something incredibly satisfying and very special. And we've passed all the hurdles that we need to, and now it's a team called Oracle.
first America's Cup experience was back in '99 for the 2000 Cup. It was a campaign called Young Australia 2000. It was an old boat. The average age was about 18 on board. No money, but we worked hard and we played hard. I loved every single minute of it, and so did every one of those guys on it. It was really, really tough. It was very hard work. And the team that we sort of became by the end of it, it was, I'll probably never experience that again on that level. Yeah, the America's Cup trophy is an obsession. I mean, there's no two ways about it. The reason I love it is because it's so tough and it's so hard to win. Personally, I love things that are difficult and hard, and I like getting taken outside my comfort zone. Man, in the America's Cup, you get all of that.
And that gives you an idea of just how strong the wind is blowing as it comes underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. And there you see Alcatraz and the Bay Bridge in the distance. But it looks like we may be going to our second race. We check in on the water. That's where Gary Jobson has the very latest as the clock continues to tick down. Gary, are we racing or not?
Well, so far it looks good, Todd. The wind is just under the limit. Dean Barker here wisely has been practicing many time runs, and the impressive thing here is how much Oracle Team USA has improved on their windward speed.
No question about that. More from Gary throughout race number 10, the second race of the day, as we look at the current courtesy of Liveline, and that looks almost identical to what we saw in the first race.
Yeah, it's just slightly less. There's about a half a knot less current from side to side on average, but again, it's allowing the teams to use the race course fully from wall to wall in these boundaries that our Liveline graphics create.
Same course that we've seen so far, Kenny, and when these conditions, it looks like it's favoring Oracle Team USA.
Same course, and we were doing these graphics in the past. We always had something to talk about, that leg 3 was the Achilles heel of Oracle, but that seems to be no more. Quick reach into the finish to a bunch of screaming fans. This is excitement here in San Francisco, excitement for the America's Cup.
Busy day on the bay as everyone's come out to witness history. This is the 34th America's Cup. The defenders of the Cup, Oracle Team USA, they trail Emirates New Zealand by 6-1, and there you get your 4-camera split. Jimmy Spithill top left in the middle, Ben Ainsley just behind him, and the rest of the crew look like they are ready to go racing, all fired up. And for Emirates Team New Zealand, they are looking for a shift in momentum. Well, they certainly want to change the momentum. They have lost the last 2 races, but they have kept their good luck charm, Grant Dalton, on board. Boy, very technical stuff when you talk about the boats, but one thing that is the most important is when they get to that first mark, you've got to know who has the right of way when you reach the zone. It's all about knowing the game.
The first leg reach is brand new feature for America's Cup 34, often seeing some of the highest speeds on the race course. The rules of racing determines which boat has the right of way when rounding this crucial first mark. Approaching Mark 1, the boat on the inside has complete control. As soon as this boat hits the imaginary 3-boat length circle, the green light flashes on board. And when overlapped, the inside boat must be allowed room to round the mark, which typically means rounding uses the fastest angles towards the next mark. If the boats are not overlapped, the boat behind cannot cut inside the boat ahead once the boat ahead touches the 3-boat length circle. The boat ahead is allowed to round the mark as she sees fit. Knowing the game means understanding the rules, an integral part of sailboat racing at any level.
There is Emirates Team New Zealand and Oracle Team USA as they get ready for the second race. This will be race number 10, day number 6 on a picture-perfect day in San Francisco. We are 5 minutes away from the start of the second race here on day number 6. The Kiwis lead it 6-1, needing only 3 more races, and the America's Cup is theirs. Oracle Team USA, they still have a big mountain to climb, but Ken, momentum says a lot, and right now, momentum is firmly in the camp of Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, but the start may be in the camp of Emirates Team New Zealand. The team that's come in from early, 10 seconds early each time from that left start, that left side of the starting box, has won the start. They can just go back down low. This ebb current is pushing them upwind. They can go position themselves on that left side ley line and really control the start. It's becoming quite a feature.
Final preparations being made. We are 4:10 now away from the start of this race. 2 minutes away before both of them enter the start boxes. We check in with Gary Jobson. Job, I don't know what you're doing down there, but keep it up because the wind is at a perfect level for us to go racing.
Well, what I'm doing down here is enjoying a great show. And we're going to see all the pressure on Dean Barker here. He has to win this start. He has to win this race. If they lose the momentum now, Oracle Team USA could keep going. This could be the most pivotal race of the entire regatta.
The wind will be the key, no doubt about it. We saw yesterday a race was abandoned because of the wind, and that was after 2 legs had been sailed. And Ken, what are we looking at here?
In the last 5 minutes, we see that one little peak position there where it actually went over the wind limit. I'm not sure how much time we have to the start right now, Gary. What do you have for a start time? Sure, we have Gary. It's actually saying 14 and a half minutes.
Yeah, they've extended it, went over the wind limit. Now they have to get a race in by 2:30, start in by 2:30 local time, and it's about 12 after 2. So
yeah, we did go over the, so we went over the limit, Todd. Sorry, we were all a little confused there for a second. We were down to around 5 minutes before the start, but we have exceeded the wind limit. We start all over again. We start this 15-minute clock.
New wind limit, 21.5, 21.5.
And that 21.5, Gary, that's current corrected.
Current corrected, and we're right up, or a little over the limit here. Like I said earlier, we have till 2:30 to get a start off. Harold Bennett on the left, race director Ian Murray on the right there, monitoring the wind. Principal race officer in the middle is John Craig.
So the clock is now running at 13 minutes before we can get the race underway, and that's if the wind cooperates. Remember, we can push the race just a little bit, but if we get past 2:40 local time here in San Francisco, they will have to shut it down for the day. A race cannot start after 2:40 today here on the Bay. Meanwhile, Ken, what do you do if you're the skipper, helmsman, and tactician? Do you go out and just a few more practices?
Well, if you're these guys, clearly you rip it around at about 40 knots. These boats are really hard just to keep going slow, especially if you're trying to reposition yourself. But they'll keep practicing. They got to keep warm. They're soaking wet. So if you just sit around, you're going to be cold. So you got to keep pumping. You got to keep the handles spinning. Keep active. Keep your brain active. Be ready for the next start.
So Dean Barker talking with his shore crew, and it sounds like they have a decision to make. We don't want to speculate on what that decision might be, but remember, Emirates Team New Zealand does have a provisional card they can pull, which would postpone the race and in effect shutting down the racing for the rest of the day. If they do not like the current, the conditions for any reason, they can just pull out the card and say, you know what, we're done for the day. And Ray Davies on the radio now. What do you think, Kenny, they're looking at? What do you think the factors are?
I think they're just looking around at the wind limit right now. They want to race. They want to turn the momentum back in their favor. They don't want to have to go home and think, hey, we just got beat up on the water. These guys they're athletes. They're competitors. They want to get back into it again as quick as they can and erase the memory of that last race.
So Dean Barker and his crew look on. The Americans continue to practice. They have a decision to make, and hopefully Mother Nature will hold off. The wind limit, 21.5 knots. We'll have to wait and see if we will get our second race in today in San Francisco. There is the view of the start box. Emirates Team New Zealand has port entry. USA will enter on the right-hand side, or the starboard side. And can you feel like the advantage is certainly on port entry?
Oh, absolutely. It has been for the last several starts in a row. And Team New Zealand has it this time. So they can position themselves in that ebb tide way down low in the start box and really literally block the other guy out. It seems to be a very effective method so far that both of these teams have developed.
Dean Barker with the 14 on his helmet. The rest of his crew there that he has on board. Minor changes being made, but for the most part, they are staying stock with what they had in race number 9, which they lost to Oracle Team USA.
First race that Grant Dalton has lost in this America's Cup, so that it's a little different.
Check in on the water with Gary Jobson.
Well, Todd, one of the most interesting shots I saw in that right after that first race was Larry Ellison. Way enthusiastic. You know, you wonder, does he care? Oh, yeah, he cares a lot. He was very happy to see the turnaround, and I'm sure he's hoping that the momentum continues on. If Oracle has any more changes, they're going to be one formidable boat for the rest of the week.
And no question about that. Right now, everyone looking at the wind meter, and the last reading, it came in at 19.4, which means we are under. So everyone hoping that we can get this race off. Now, remember, they have to get through 3 legs of the race under that wind limit, or otherwise they can do like we did yesterday, and the race will certainly be abandoned.
These guys staring at the wind box on board the race committee boat. Everybody hoping and I mean, I'd say it's a universal hope. But you know, if these America's Cup boats could agree on anything, they should be just parking their boats right in front of here and blocking the wind speed.
Back in San Francisco, the clock continues to come down after the wind spiked over the limit, which started the 15-minute clock all over again. We now sit at 8 minutes and 12 seconds. So that's what we are away from race number 10 here on day number 6, as if the wind does not spike yet again. Meanwhile, Emirates Team New Zealand, Oracle Team USA going through their paces as we now go under 8 minutes. And that is holding true. The yellow line, if we peek over that, that would start the 15-minute clock over again. And that is looking good over the last 5 minutes. Now, the other thing to take in consideration is we will not start a race after 2:40 Pacific time. Right now, it is holding at 2:21. So we have about 19 more minutes. One more wind delay, Ken, and that could put us out of the window.
That's right. And remember, the sample, that the delay is created when a sample is for 30 seconds over the wind limit. So that's what we need. It's touch and go here. There's no doubt about that. But let's all cross our fingers here for the next 10 minutes or so.
Man with the white hat on is Larry Ellison, the man behind Oracle, the man really that has been the driving force for bringing the America's Cup here to San Francisco. He is the defender of the America's Cup. He gives the thumbs up to his squad, and I think he could make room for another America's Cup win, couldn't he, on his mantle?
I think he was giving a thumbs up to Gary Jobson.
He was. He had a nice little hello there. But I don't blame him for being happy, really. These guys worked hard. They had all kinds of changes. And their shore crew, by the way, and design teams got a lot of Americans on it in the background working hard, and it shows. Let's just get a racing.
No question about it. Oracle Team USA fresh off 2 victories in a row. And the score now reads 6-1. New Zealand needs 3 more wins, and the America's Cup is on its way to Auckland. The Americans, they've got some work to do. They still need 10 victories, and they will hold on to it.
You're only as good as your last race, Todd. So easy way to shut down this momentum if you're Team New Zealand, and if you're Oracle, keep it rolling, baby.
Well, if you're New Zealand, you really like the fact you're coming in on the port side of the line. That should help them a little bit this time around.
Now under 6 minutes to go. All right, Jabo, look into your crystal ball out there on the water. If you were Emirates Team New Zealand and you were coming in port entry, where are you going immediately?
Well, I'm going to go as far away from the line as I can, get turned around, and make Spittle try and get the hook. The hook did not work 3 times in a row for Spittle, and as we saw in the last race, it didn't work for Barker. So make Spittle make the moves and just go straight for the line.
Ken, are you surprised to see that many shore crew members on the boat this close to the race?
I think they're just grabbing the final couple shore crew members off the boat, who the pit crew, you know, that would be checking all the systems on board the boat, checking carbon fiber parts and pieces, mainly the hydraulic system is my guess. So they're just getting the bags and the toolboxes and the guys off the boat at the last minute.
So the flags are unfurled one more time, and the countdown from 5 minutes is on.
I still like the move for the 2 boats to just go directly upwind of the committee boat and sit there and block the wind for the next 4 or so minutes.
And unfortunately, as large as it is and majestic, the Golden Gate Bridge will not block the wind. It actually funnels it down underneath, coming in from the Marin Headlands, and it just is like a funnel with that wind screaming underneath the bridge.
Actually looking good here, Todd. We've actually dropped a little bit, so we're looking solid to keep this average. But again, it's only 30 seconds. You need it to be 30 seconds above the prescribed wind limit for this race.
Looking like to load anywhere on the line, midline favoured.
We heard Ray just say lured and favored, so that's the pin. That's the end of the starting line that has been so successful for the last few races, mainly because of this ebb current. The ebb current versus the flood current completely changes strategy going into the starting line for these boats.
Look at the acceleration, just how fast Emirates Team New Zealand went from just sitting there having a nice tea and biscuit to they are up and screaming, getting ready to get in on the port entry, and this will be race number 10 here on day number 6. Dean Barker on the left, Jimmy Spithill on the right.
Todd, it'll be interesting to see. You know, Oracle knows that they're coming in from the unfavored side this time. Let's see if they try a completely different strategy again. I wouldn't be surprised to see Oracle stay really far away from Team New Zealand this time, not go for that hook, and actually just try to do a nice running start from quite a distance away.
A start developed by Harold Vanderbilt in the 1930s, a time run.
The Vandy.
20 seconds time. Got us on time now. 20 seconds. Okay, here we go.
15. So the Kiwis roll over, and now they make their way towards the line. They have a 10-second advantage to start on the port side, and that is all for safety reason. And then the dance begins here. It's race number 10 of the 34th America's Cup. So the long layoff from race number 9 is over, and now it is on. Emirates Team New Zealand with a port entry. Here come the Americans.
Okay, buddy. Driving here. 7 over here. Right. He's driving pretty close to it. Driving.
So Dean Barker jiving back and looking for that low lay line, that left-hand edge of the starting box as they're starting to go back toward the starting line. This has been very common for the boat that enters the box early. Let's see what Spithill has up his sleeve.
He's on it there.
Both boats are at least 20 seconds early for the line, so there's plenty of time for maneuvers.
1 minute to the line.
Very similar strategy to the last time around. Emirates Team New Zealand is really protecting that left side.
One below sailing lane. 15 to the boat. We're just below sailing lane here.
Very aggressive move by Spithill here with only 30 seconds to go. He's trying to push Barker too far down in the box. That is what Jimmy's trying to do. 20 seconds to go.
New Zealand is in huge trouble here being so low. Spittle's start is going to be easy if he accelerates now.
Spithill that hits the line with more momentum. Dean Barker does have the favorable line, but the Americans are accelerating from the Kiwis.
This is all about pace. Can Emirates Team New Zealand keep an overlap as they approach this 3-boat length circle? You hear Slingsby even say he's overlapped. Phenomenal job by Team New Zealand keeping the overlap and protesting Oracle. Let's see what the judges say.
No penalty coming. So they wave off the penalty. The Kiwis don't catch a break there. They were first to the circle. They had the overlap, and the Americans pushed it just a little bit. So that's definitely got to be a break for Team USA.
Just hung on. That was reaching speed we haven't seen out of Emirates Team New Zealand this entire event so far. Great job by Dean Barker keeping that overlap and making it stick.
All right, Gary, so the Americans have found themselves behind for the first time in the last 2 races. What do they do now?
Well, what do they do now is not panic. They know they were going well upwind before. Just stay as close as you possibly can, split the gate, and they'll have a good chance to pass on the 3rd leg.
Big lead already, over 150 meters for New Zealand, and the USA dropping behind, but the American speed is just a little bit behind the Kiwis at this point.
Certainly no panic there, Todd, aboard the American boat.
No question.
My goodness, though, that was so close to being an Oracle lead at that mark. Just incredible job. I can't say enough how good a job Team New Zealand did to keep that overlap and make it stick.
40 seconds this way.
Well, the Americans had the acceleration at the line, but it was Dean Barker who had the position as we take a look at Virtual Eye.
Just staying forward of the wing wash. Their air is barely clear here, barely. And they just, look at that. Thank goodness they didn't cut their spinnaker pole off, because that could be the difference, you know? Really, the way they're controlling these boats coming in, the wing wash is just behind, just to weather or the right-hand side of Emirates Team New Zealand. They keep a tiny bit of clear air and make it work. Again, we're always talking about turning points, a huge turning point in this regatta. Just that one little leg, that mark round it.
And if the Americans would have got the penalty, Gary, it could have been game over.
Yeah, I mean, the nice move here by New Zealand was to stay up on the wind here a little bit, and Spittle on the right, working hard to stay clear, lost a lot of distance. When the New Zealanders turned away, they gained 4 lengths. Very nice move by Dean Barker.
So here we are on leg number 2. New Zealand has the lead. It's dropped to 135 meters. And they're already starting to think about mark number 2.
Again, we keep repeating ourselves here, but Ainsley will be thinking about a split now. That's all he wants to do, is try to round the opposite mark to Emirates Team New Zealand as they approach the bottom gate.
So the Americans closing the gap just a little bit. All right, Ken, as we look down toward that leeward mark down there, gate number 2, who do you like? Whose position is more favorable?
Well, I think you'll see the same thing. Emirates Team New Zealand not trying to minimize maneuvers and not trying to do too much. Thinking, hey, you know, we have pretty good pace against these guys. No reason to panic, that's for sure. And then Oracle, they're going to do everything they can to get a split.
About 30 seconds. Stay on time. Yeah. Oh! Wait, fine. 18 seconds. Come on. 18. 20, guys. 12. No fat. 20 seconds.
That's Ray Davies counting down to the ley line call. He has those instruments right on his body, on his wrist, or on his chest, and he can see exactly how far he is from ley line or the approach directly to the mark.
Steady left, Jimmy. Copy. Give it fast. Ready for it. Going. Go. Okay, I've got to go. Okay, steady left, Jimmy. Copy. Copy. Spinning left. One leg left.
Todd, Jimmy Spithill just said one in left. They're going for a split down here, but it's a tough maneuver.
In race 10 at gate number 2, it's the Kiwis, the first ones to the mark. And the challengers will head closer to shore, so that really forces the hand of the Americans as Jimmy Spithill enters the circle, and he's going to head closer to Alcatraz Island.
And get slow around this mark. This was not the perfect rounding that these guys needed to have. They got slow. They jibed a little early. Like I said before, it's a really hard maneuver to pull off, and it wasn't perfect. They'll be the first to admit.
Normal numbers here. 27, 28. Yep. Oil, Jimmy. Oil.
I'm surprised New Zealand hasn't tacked to get back into the center to stay between them and Oracle Team USA.
Hey, tack. Set out there. 200, you happy? Stand by, guys.
Gary, this ebb tide definitely allows the boats to spread it out a little wider and not have to go crazy on tacking, but you're right. They'll keep an eye on USA at this stage, that's for sure.
Yeah, Kenny, remember Oracle gained on the right side of the course where they are now in the last race, and that's where they're positioned, so they have an opportunity to catch up.
Nice and smooth, boys. Settle down.
Attack, fellas. Still right back in this.
Looks like a gain to Oracle to me.
Hit him, Dino. This is to set up parallel, okay? Setting up parallel.
Ray Davies talking to him, saying we're going to set up parallel.
That's because the wind is better on the right side. It's shifted more to the right. That helped Oracle, and New Zealand wants to get on the right side to take advantage of that wind shift.
Definitely a little better current out where New Zealand's going. This is not shocking at all to see them go across. They gain starboard tack advantage, of course, if they ever got close, which they're not really very close right now, but definitely better current on the dumping grounds right out by Alcatraz Island.
Emirates Team New Zealand, their lead has grown to 140 meters.
If you're USA, you're looking to tack to get this back into the center of the course. But look at this, Oracle Team USA making the tack, keeping it centered, perfect. I like the tactics of Ben Ainsley.
Let's smooth this back down, guys. Going well. Same lead here, boys. This is good.
Todd, to think a few days ago, we would have just thought this race was over. And now I think everybody in the world watching this race is on pins and needles. Can Oracle keep coming at them? Because it looks to my eye, Gary, they're kind of reeling them in a little bit right now. It's not tight yet by any means, but it certainly doesn't look like it's further away.
You know, Kenny, I feel like I'm watching Usain Bolt have a slow start and come charging through. They're clearly gaining. That's Oracle Team USA is certainly gaining here.
Nice blackwood attack.
Take a look out on virtual eye, the animation on board. We'll talk about the current here, and it's starting to build just a little bit, the ebb tide, which is going out to sea, and it's getting a little heavier.
Yeah, you see a little better tide on the right-hand side where Oracle is at this stage. I kind of thought the Team New Zealand would bounce Oracle and actually send them back to the left side of the race course. By bounce, I mean tack on top of them. But they gave them a little bit stronger position when it comes to tide. You never know about wind shift, but certainly as it comes to tide.
This is leg 3 of 5, race number 10, the second race of the day. The Americans have won the last 2. Jimmy Spithill with his hand on the wheel. Behind him, Tom Slingsby. Behind him, Ben Ainsley. So at roughly the halfway point of the final race of the day, it is Emirates Team New Zealand, the challengers, out in front of the defenders by 125 meters, but the Americans are coming and coming fast.
Pressure on the tacticians at this stage. Ray Davies, these are his calls when he wants to go. How is he going to try to set up the other guy in order to make that big gain toward the end of the leg?
As we check in on the water with Gary Jobson. Gary, how is the wind? Is it picking up that much more? Are the currents and everything just kind of holding firm?
Well, the current's actually slacking a little bit, so that helps that. The wind is staying about even. I think we're going to get it in. Remember, they get to the winter mark, the wind limit is out. But I'll tell you, looking at Ray Davies there, that looked like a worried man to me. He knows the other boat's sailing faster.
I don't know if Ray Davies is ever worried, Gary. I know him pretty well. But these guys certainly are getting chumped on a bit.
And at the cross on leg number 3, this is just how close it is. The battle for the victory in race number 10 is on. Under 100 meters as the Americans have made up more than 45 meters just in that last little bit.
Todd, it was interesting in the last tack that both boats tacked from the opposite sides of the race course right at each other at exactly the same time. New Zealand bottomed out at 11 knots. Oracle bottomed out at 13.5 knots. They're actually tacking faster at this stage.
We're very close to Oracle right now. From my perspective, down on the water, I like the position Oracle's in. They have a little bit more favorable current, sweeping them toward the winter mark, and the wind direction is better. So they're going to have a better course for the mark. Oracle's looking good.
I think both boats are sailing really fast right now. I just saw Emirates Team New Zealand pop a wheelie for a second and lost almost 3 boat lengths in that one maneuver. They got a little out of sequence with their boards. Oracle is right back in the hunt.
And they have the right of way, Ken, as they come together. New Zealand is in trouble.
So the Americans have made up more than 150 meters on a leg that in the past has been their kryptonite. And here they are. They have the right of way as we get ready for a big cross.
60-knot closing speed, the two boats coming together, but now Team New Zealand will have the right of way when they come back. Who can tack better on this next tack would actually be the race.
Psychologically very devastating to Team New Zealand. It's hard to pick yourself up after you lose a lead like that.
So the Americans have taken the lead away on leg number 3. Kenny, look at this cross, and look how fast they're going.
This is sailing like we've never seen before. And these guys are just wheeling these things around like it's a dinghy out on your Tuesday night race at that Barrington Yacht Club back in Rhode Island. Huge moment in the race. race if Oracle dips, but then again, they're going to be on starboard. Another cross coming up. Another lead change.
Kenny, in a long history of the America's Cup, dating back to 1851, we've seen more lead changes in this Cup than any Cup in history.
The technology introduced at the 34th America's Cup is space age, and they've taken it to a whole new level, much to the delight of Larry Ellison. It is now New Zealand and USA neck and neck here on race number 10.
And people said catamarans couldn't match race.
Match racing on steroids and a lot of emotion.
So once they get around mark number 3, the wind limit goes away. It looks like that will be the case.
Stand by, Jimmy. Here we go.
One more starboard tack. Crossing coming here. Now boat length, the circles actually come into play. Who gets into what circle first? This could be a really interesting mark rounding here at the gate. Emirates Team New Zealand is going high and slow right now, looking for a dip at the last second. They want to dip and still be able to lay this gate.
On that tactic, Oracle needs to slow down.
Another cross, another lead change.
And at mark number 3, it is almost dead even.
Wow, there's nothing in this.
So they'll make their way back towards San Francisco City, and the race is on. Who will emerge as victorious here in race number 10 on day 6 of the 34th America's Cup? Leg 4 of 5, and Ken, that third mark may have been the telltale sign. Kenny, if you were the Americans, you had an opportunity there to stuff the Kiwis if you were on just stall out here and bear off to the right.
Well, no, they would have been passed. That's exactly how the setup had to play out. The Kiwis actually did a really nice job of slowing down early. They went high and slow early so they could dip and still make the mark. Both of these boats set this up as well as they possibly could have.
Go hard, guys. Work really hard here.
But now you have Team New Zealand coming at on starboard tack.
The lead is under 20 meters. We have 1.5 legs to go in this race, and we will have ourselves a winner. The Americans coming in awfully fast at the top of your screen.
Two boats coming at each other at 80 knots. Combined speed. Jimmy Spithill has made the decision to slow down and go behind, which is a really tricky move to make and keep your judgment. And sure enough, there's now a large gap between the two. I'm surprised they didn't just jibe with him. That's a tough thing to pull off if you're Oracle Team USA.
Yeah, I think a big mistake there by Ben Ainsley, Ken. Why not job on the wind and stay right with him if it's that close? They might have been able to block their wind. Now they've given away the lead.
And the lead is now over 100 meters. This is like 4 of 5. They'll head to the top of your screen. They will make a big right-hand turn, and then the race is on to the finish.
But when New Zealand does make the jibe, remember Oracle Team USA will be on starboard with the right of way.
Todd, I can't tell you how that kind of slow down and dip behind Emirates Team New Zealand. The move that Oracle tried to make, that has a difficulty factor of about 10 out of 10 to actually pull off and keep close. But like Gary said, they're on starboard, but they're well behind. They're going to need a break here at this stage. They're going to need New Zealand to make a mistake.
You know, we're right behind the boats, and I'm looking, and Oracle's sailing a lower course than New Zealand right now. That might be the saving moment for them if they're able to keep that low course and the high speed.
Ray Davies just keeps such a cool demeanor. Here we are in the pivotal race in the America's Cup, and he's like, yeah, I think we're gaining a little bit here. Just really, this is the voice you want to hear if you're steering the boat.
That is the target, mark number 4. When they hit that, they will head off to the right-hand side of the left of your picture and head towards the finish line.
Nice gain, boys. Off of Emirates Team New Zealand. Again, that dipping move by Oracle. They're going to go back and they're going to question what they did at that particular time. Nice little lead, a couple hundred yards. It went from 0 to 200 yards in a matter of seconds, Todd.
About 40 seconds here. 40 seconds. No rush. 20 seconds to lay like no fat. Good breeze all the way. 10 seconds, Dino, no fat.
I like to move sailing beyond the ley line, that yellow line there. It just gives it a little more conservative, takes away any passing lane for Oracle Team USA. Plus, you come in with a little extra speed. Nice move by the New Zealanders.
And this is typically where Dean Barker just puts the pedal down. There you see the knots coming up. As they approach mark number 4, it's the Kiwis in firm control, traveling at 42 knots, which is 48 miles an hour, and they make the turn first for home. The lead was 1 second at mark number 3, and now the Kiwis have opened it up. The lead is now closer to 10 seconds as the Americans finally hit the mark, make it 11. Ken, this is almost no man's land. When the Kiwis have a lead and a straight line to the finish line, good luck.
Not much in it here at this stage. Don't do anything crazy. Don't over rev it up. You got a nice little lead right now. Don't do anything silly.
You know, guys, I really like the fact that nobody in the New Zealand boat is looking back at the competition, looking ahead for the finish. Very nice.
Looking ahead for a finish line that they have not been first to in the last 2 races. But they will stop the hemorrhaging of loss as the Kiwis sail a magnificent race, neck and neck with the Americans. And then at leg number 4, one small mistake, possibly by Oracle Team USA, which opens the door. Race number 10 will go the way of the challenger. Emirates Team New Zealand will pick up the victory.
And I believe that sigh of relief comes from approximately 4 million people in the small island of New Zealand.
Just a fantastic race all the way around. The Americans just couldn't get it done. They finished 17 seconds behind, but Ken, I agree with you. They will go back and look at leg number 4 and ask themselves what could have been. But for New Zealand, no mistakes. The Kiwis reign supreme in day 10.
It's going to turn up. You all right?
That's race 10, day 6.
Here we go. Hold on, boys. Hold on.
They're all going to go back and look at that weather mark. Yes, New Zealand came in and ducked Oracle at the very last second, but they set themselves up for starboard tack advantage on the run. Whether they were actually thinking that far ahead, we'll never know. But they sure stepped into something that worked perfectly for them. Starboard tack on the first cross, going 40 knots downwind. The other guys had to slow down, let them pass. Rest is history.
And with no racing scheduled for tomorrow, you have to say the momentum has shifted back over to the Kiwis as they now need just 2 races. So they could, Gary Jobson, close this thing out on Tuesday.
Well, it's going to be very windy on Tuesday, and the boat speeds are even. But I'll tell you what, Ken's saying, were they setting that up early? They were thinking about that all the way up that windward leg.
And you see the massive crowd at America's Cup Park that have turned out on a spectacular day here in San Francisco. Doesn't matter what flag you're waving, you can appreciate what you just saw out on the water. As Ray Davies takes the helm momentarily, the Kiwis look so good and a sign of a true champion. When they're down, they came back fighting and they got the job done in race number 10. The scoreboard now reads New Zealand 7, America 1. So the folks waking up down in New Zealand, congratulations. Your team picks up a very pivotal win. We talked about it during the break, how so important race number 10 was as we join the skipper and helmsman for Emirates Team New Zealand, Dean Barker. Dean, congratulations. That race was huge. From your vantage point, was leg number 4 the key moment?
Which one's leg 4? There's the down one. Well, no, we sort of sailed the first half of the upwind pretty well, and then they just got one decent chunk all in one hit, which turned what was sort of a comfortable lead into well, we actually were behind them. So guys just dug it in, and we got opposite gates at the top, and I think our gate was probably the preferred one, and at intersection halfway down the run, well, wasn't really a lot they could do.
Hey, Dean, great job. Congratulations. So take us back to the start. Again, you guys barely hung on at that first mark. Did you think you were going to get rolled? Do you think you're going to be okay? How do you judge that?
Yeah, well, obviously it was a big fight for starting to load again, and we got it, but not a pretty start. But we just managed to muscle it across the reach, and the guys sort of did a really good job just managing the rate. They had one little skid which cost them quite a lot of ground, and they managed. I mean, we could get round inside them. So yeah, we had a nice run after that.
Dean, congratulations. We'll cut you loose. We will see you on Tuesday. Let you boys get back to the dock.
Yeah, Roger. Thanks.
Emirates Team New Zealand gets the victory. Oracle Team USA had all the momentum in the world, and I'll tell you what, they can sail upwind now, no problem whatsoever, as we join Jimmy Spithill. Jimmy, what a race. I don't think we've seen anything like that in the history of the America's Cup, that close of racing. Take us through the race. Where was the critical moment for you guys?
Oh, well, we had a couple of critical moments, which was great. I mean, we got off the line well, and unfortunately we just sort of got out of phase on the reach there. We had rolled him, and then we just sort of touched down, and yeah, so anyway, we had to fight back from there, but Benny and Tom and all the boys did a great job bringing us back into the race up that beat.
Hey, down that run, Jimmy, give us an idea as you look back on it now. Hindsight is obviously a beautiful thing. Is there anything else you could have done rather than slow down and actually take their transom?
I don't know. I mean, we were talking about jiving on top, but then you probably would have just been pinned out in the corner. The apparent wind so far forward, I'm not sure we could have ever affected them. So I'm not sure. I mean, maybe taking a bit more risk and not slow down as much and really tried to shave their stern,
Well, Jim, every change you've made has seemed to improve the boat speed. Looking ahead with the day off tomorrow, do you make some more changes, or do you come out and go sailing?
Yeah, we're going to have to look at it. I mean, we've got a few more ideas. I mean, it's been great. The team, we've really been improving the boat every single day. No question, we would have taken some big lessons from today. And yeah, if we can, we'll get out on the water tomorrow.
Jimmy, I know you and the boys are looking forward to Tuesday. We appreciate your time. Congratulations on a good day. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
Jimmy Spithill getting it done, picking up one win of the 2 races, and now the game is on. When we resume racing on Tuesday here, it will be races 11 and 12 at the 34th America's Cup.
History, of course, has to come to an end at the present day. And the present day, our America's Cup history is now steeped in catamarans. As an old catamaran sailor from way back, I couldn't be happier. But these catamarans are now going one step further than ever. They're now on foils. But when did it all start? Really, when Larry Ellison got a bit upset with Ernesto Bertorelli and decided that what he'd planned for the America's Cup was illegal. So he took him to the New York Supreme Courts, and in a very prolonged battle there, managed to win the right to challenge for the America's Cup in multi-hulls. Well, he built the biggest one ever, with the biggest wing ever built for anything, and he won the Cup quite quickly in 2 races in Valencia in Spain.
I think it's trending just a little bit. The America's Cup 33. BMW Oracle beats Alinghi in the long-awaited, much-heralded clash of these multi-hull giants.
He was absolutely superior with this trimaran with the huge wing on it over Ernesto Bertarelli's catamaran, which had a soft sail. So, when he comes and brings the Cup back here, we're going to have it in catamarans with wing sails. Quite obvious the way to go, isn't it? The future of the America's Cup lies in the hands of those who hold it, and unless there's a change in the holder, I don't think we're going to see anything but catamarans for the foreseeable future. But who knows? Should Emirates Team New Zealand win, there's every likelihood it could return to monohulls. Well, is that a backward step? I don't know. Let's take it as it comes. It's a cup of controversy, and it will remain that way.
Action from the Super Yacht Regatta taking place in between race days here at the 34th America's Cup. So we spin it forward, we look to Tuesday, which will be day 7. We will see races 11 and 12 contested. And as we take a look at the scoreboard, it is 7 wins to 3 wins, or 7 wins to 1 point. New Zealand need just 2 more victories, and the Cup is theirs. America will need 8 victories to retain the Cup. And Kenny, what an exciting day. This is what I think everyone envisioned when the Cup came to San Francisco and these amazing AC-72s.
Well, if you're Emirates Team New Zealand, you're thinking just exhale at this stage. You probably dodged a bullet in that last race. You got lucky. They were coming on strong, but you live to see another day. You only have 2 races to go. Oracle Team USA, hey, do more of the same. You're sailing well. You got back in the game. A couple little breaks, you would have won that race, but time is running out.
So that puts a wrap of today's action. Day number 6 is in the books from San Francisco. On behalf of Gary Jobson and Ken Reed, I'm Todd Harris saying so long for now. We'll see you Tuesday for the 34th America's Cup.